Hi VC. It's 2020 and it's time for a bit of waffle. Time for a bit of waffle about this big, scary, foreboding stack of records that I have had sitting here for so long that I gotta go through. I gotta go through them. A lot of killer and awesome stuff that I've picked up, things that are very near and dear to my heart that I'm happy to finally have. And without further ado, just launch right in with, this is a gift. This is Dr. Dre, The Chronic. Not much needs to be said about The Chronic. Yeah, like I said, this was a Christmas gift. This particular pressing sounds great, even though that kind of scary digitally remastered thing is lurking down there. But this sounds really good. And I looked into like the pressing of All Eyes on Me. And it's from this series, and I've heard that it's kind of terrible. But this sounds great. So yeah. And this was, I'm sure you can get this at Barnes & Noble or something. But yeah, Dr. Dre, The Chronic, also keeping with hip-hop. Earl Sweatshirt, Doris. I'm a massive Earl Sweatshirt fan. He's probably, I don't know, I'd say he's probably the rapper that kind of ruled my decade. Him or No Name. Yeah, this is Doris. Fantastic. This is his debut studio album, if you don't count the Earl tape. And I mean, he just kind of emerged fully formed. I mean, every Earl album is just fantastic. I'm excited for, whatever he throws me. I will gladly eat up. But yeah, Doris. And this also sounds really great. Another pickup I got. This is the first Friday Music reissue I've ever gotten. This is the Isley Brothers, The Heat Is On. Not my favorite Isley Brothers album, but I picked it up, saw it for a good deal, and decided to run for it, because I do really like the Isley Brothers. And this is on beautiful red Friday Music vinyl. Sounds really, really, really good. Really, really, really funky. Yeah, I want to track down the Friday Music reissue of 3x3. Because I was really happy with this. Yeah, love the Isley Brothers. Classic. Also, classic. Finally found an affordable copy of Eat a Peach. Not that this is an expensive album by any means. But here in the South, I guess it's just because I live in Georgia, and the Allman Brothers are sort of like a Georgia treasure. But Allman Brothers albums really kind of get marked up a lot, just artificially. So every time you see this or Brothers and Sisters, they're always like $20 for some reason. I'm not going to pay that. I know what it's worth. I know I would have found one eventually. And I did. I got this one for $10. It is in great shape. And it has all the inserts and stuff. Eat a Peach. Again, classic. Probably my favorite Allman Brothers release. I go to this more than I go to Fillmore East. Or, actually, Idlewild South. I play Idlewild South on a pretty regular basis. But yeah. Obviously, this album is fantastic. Eat a Peach. Happy to see this. $7 at McKay's. A steal. A mighty steal. Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind. In pretty good shape. The sleeve is kind of ratty, but that's fine. The record is in great shape. And I love this album. I don't know anyone who doesn't like this album. Iron Maiden is just kind of ubiquitous as far as like the soaring, throttling kind of poppy metal bands of the 80s go. Iron Maiden is really high up there for me, along like for everyone else, I'm sure. But yeah, Peace of Mind. Next up, one of my heroes, favorite artists ever, Ry Cooder, Into the Purple Valley. This album is amazing, along with pretty much anything that Ry Cooder did from Safe as Milk up to Bop Till You Drop. I mean, dude can't miss. Ry Cooder cannot miss. And I love this album. Yeah, Paradise and Lunch is the classic. I think maybe this isn't on par with that, but it's close. But yeah. Next up, a 2019 album. This was a gift. And one of the reasons why I'm really excited to get this is because I've always been kind of a Robert Christgau fanatic. I think he's a wonderful writer personally, and I disagree with a lot of his reviews on a regular basis. But usually when he writes something up really high, puts like obviously a lot of thought into speaking about this in 2019, it's probably significant. This is one of those albums. Billie Eilish, When We Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? Yeah, I listened to this when it came out, and I turned it off when the ukulele song came on. And I was just like, it's not fully formed. I should just, don't need to just shit on this thing that probably obviously isn't for me. Christgau wrote it up as like number 4 on his albums of the decade list. And I was like, oh, Lord in heaven, I'm back on my bullshit. So, I got this as a gift, and I've listened to it a lot, and I think it is very good. Not number 4 of the decade, but yeah, I mean, going back to this, it's just sort of, it's interesting kind of what she has going on with her vocal style. I know she's not the first one to do a sort of whisper singing vocal style, but I don't know how she's so far into the mainstream, because there's a great deal of this that is just kind of weird, just weird pop music, and some of it that is fun and bouncy pop music. But I'm happy to have at least this album. I'm not happy to have, though, this pressing. This is the Target limited edition glow-in-the-dark vinyl. This is horrible. It sounds bad. Do not buy this. I don't know how the black vinyl sounds, but buy that one. Don't buy this. This is probably just gonna sit on the shelf, and I'll buy the CD, and it'll make me sad to stare at this and not being able to play it. But oh well. Next up, another 2019 pickup. Happy to have this. John Coltrane, Blue World. A lot of people were getting down on this when it came out. Said it's not really an album. Maybe kind of just like a lazy collection of leftovers. And I will say, I don't think it needs 3 Village Blues takes. But I do think it does need 2 Village Blues takes. Really, it's just the first one on here, Village Blues Take 2, that I think is the worst of both of them. Because after I heard Village Blues Take 3, I kind of realized why they stuffed them on there. So maybe they were just trying to fill it up. Besides that, everything else on here sounds wonderful. Naima is great. The new original track, Blue World, is awesome. Like Sunny, it just like blew my mind. I mean, this is so great. I'm happy for any John Coltrane, but I hate to see people getting down on this because I think it's fantastic. Yeah. So now we are sort of here at, well, no, I got a few new ones. I'm going to rattle through these quickly so I can get out the heavy hitters. This is Tom Zé Estudando o Samba. Tom Zé, amazing, probably my favorite Brazilian artist ever. And this is his classic, his magnum opus, if you will, of just very odd samba music. Just the most painfully weird samba music you could ever listen to. It's fun. It's just the most exciting music. And I really, really love Tom Zay. I've been listening to the Brazil Classics Volume 4 for a couple years now, and I only recently decided to really delve into the studio albums. This is amazing. Find it. This is the Mr. Bongo reissue. It sounds great. Original pressings go for quite a hefty amount of money, but this Mr. Bongo pressing is perfect for me. It sounds wonderful. Yeah. Next up, I only got two things. I got two things from the Barnes & Noble 50% off. One of them is Miles Davis's Blue Moods. I already put that on the shelf. It's just an OJC. I don't think I need to show that. But I got this, finally, Dusty in Memphis. I've been staring at Discogs on original copies of this for $30 and $40, and telling myself, I should just get that one, you know. It's worth it, because I love this album so much. I mean, this is one of my favorite albums of all time. And then finally, I think it was $21.99 with the Barnes & Noble 50% off. I mean, it's done by, I mean, it's got Atlantic on it, so it's not the Four Men with Beards pressing. I don't know where the pressing plant is. So it has to be better than the Four Men with Beards pressing, and it is. It sounds great. And yeah, so unless I find an original for super cheap, I think I'm checked out finally on Dusty in Memphis. I'm happy to have this. I'm sure everyone has heard this. It's just like one of the best pop music albums that was ever made. Love it. There's Miles down there, just looking out. Crazy guy, Miles. This is MF Doom, Operation Doomsday. This is the repress of MF Doom's first album. I'm really disappointed with this cover art. It's kind of lazy. But the records sound good. Doom, obviously, one of the best to ever do it in terms of rapping. I completely subscribe to the cult of personality. I think the whole thing where he doesn't show up to shows is bullshit. But this is wonderful. And MF Doom's music is wonderful. And I'm going to support him if I can. And I'm pretty sure dude is fallen on some hard times. I think his son died, like, maybe 1 or 2 years ago. I hope he's doing okay. His Instagram is just posts about, like, a merch line. I want to hear from him again. But, yeah. MF Doom, Operation Doomsday. Here we are, finally, in the heavy, heavy hitters. I stuck them here at the end. Hopefully the thumbnail will pick up one of these cool ones. This is Death Angel, The Ultraviolence. I got this for $10 at Collective Clothing. Very happy to pick this up. This is a thrash metal classic. It is a masterpiece. If you like thrash metal, you probably already know this album, but if you like thrash metal and you haven't heard this album, please give it a listen. It is right up there with Pleasure to Kill and Ride the Lightning and fucking Mental Vortex. Yeah, this is an original U.S. pressing on Enigma Records. These things go for like $80. I got it for 10. Thank you, Collective Clothing. It has the insert in it too. Very, 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 very happy to have this. Evil Priest, I think, is definitely probably the standout track for me. One of my fellow members in Dolphin Group agrees as well. So, yeah. Death Angel, The Ultraviolence. And next up, yes, all of it. I adore this record. Magma, Mécanique Destructo Commando, Zool, jazz rock, progressive rock, whatever you want to call it. So happy to have this. As you can see, it is a promotional copy, not for sale. The label pretty much looks the same, except it has a... Okay, it does have a promo stamp on it. Promotional copy, not for sale. Really happy to have this. I didn't want to get the reissue. I wanted to get an original. Yeah, the spine kind of has that little action going on there. Not super happy about that, but other than that, clean, little punch hole, sounds wonderful, fantastic. The true Magma experience, you know. The Magma experience is fighting with your, if you have an Art DJ Pre-2 preamp, you know how it gives you the little thing to see if the sound is clipping. This thing is like a fucking war. Sorry. It's just like a battle with my preamp. Between the quiet bits and the loud bits, because the quiet bits are all in the green, so I have to turn it up, and then it gets into the and then it's in solid red, and so yeah, you gotta keep an eye on it with that one. But I mean, this album is amazing, one of my favorites ever. And finally, the big one, easily well. This got here today, but I've been staring at this listing, kind of fighting with myself about buying it. And I won't say how much I paid, but not a lot for what this is. This is Larry Young, Lawrence of Newark. Not just any copy of Larry Young, Lawrence of Newark. This is an original pressing on Perception, but if you look there, DJ. Hold on. It's coming. Look at that. Look at that beautiful Perception label. Promotional copy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This album is so... First of all, I had only heard this album once when I decided that I was going to get it. For a few reasons. For one, it's not on streaming, and I know whatever you want to say, oh, you kids streaming. I could have bought it. The reissues I heard were terrible. The CD copies were always more than I wanted to pay for a CD. And I don't like listening to things on YouTube. So I listened to this once on YouTube. I was like, okay, you know, strange. But I always kind of kept an eye out for it. And finally, the listing for this floated in. And I thought about it, mulled it over a little bit. And this was my birthday present to myself. That's how I justified it. Like I said, did not come close to paying what it's worth. Maybe like a third. But yeah, I'm incredibly stoked to have this. And the even happier part of the story is that this album is amazing. I mean, it's so odd. It's just the most painfully strange sort of... Because Larry Young, you know, you've got an organ player that's definitely coming with a lot of influence from, like, Jimmy Smith. And to hear... They always say... People always say... It's not the notes you play, but how you play them. I think it is the exact opposite with Larry Young. I think that's kind of what makes an album like Unity so odd, is that the most striking part of Unity is just the notes that he's playing. It's so Coltrane. It's so... But my issue with getting into those albums is that the rhythm section, everything else, the rest of it was very stripped down, it was very plain sounding, and the organ was just kind of jarring. But I always knew that Larry Young was just playing the most painfully odd stuff, and he's got a record after this on Blue Note. I think it's from '68 that I got into a lot more than I got into Unity. So when I heard this is some Sun Ra, Lanquidity, like Hendrixian. It's got James Blood Ulmer on it, and if you know, I mean, I'm the biggest Ornette Coleman fan ever, so anything that James Blood Ulmer is on, I'm gonna lose my mind over. And the mystery guest on this album is supposedly Pharoah Sanders, and I'm kind of happy that we don't know if it's Pharoah Sanders or not, because I like the possibility that any of the voices kind of wailing away on this, or any of the saxophone playing could be Pharoah Sanders, but I don't know. I've waffled enough. This is amazing. This is easily the best find of 2019 for me. Probably like in my top 5 of the decade. I'll try and narrow that down at some point, but I've only been collecting for a decade, if that. So, you know. And I mean, if you have any questions about the things that nothing too strange, but I like to talk to people from the VC, like to coordinate with people. I go back and forth a lot with Lovell Carter. We both share a whole thing of this a love for jazz. His jazz collection is way crazier than mine, but yeah, I always love to hear from people in the VC, and I guess try and make my little spot as the young person, the millennial, if you will, you know, listen to stuff like Burial. But yeah, so yeah, drop a comment or something. Happy New Year, happy 2020, happy Larry Young, Lawrence of Newark, and thanks for watching.